Hey everybody, it's Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit. And guess what? Chicken butt. I'm going to make some motorcycles that have tracks instead of wheels. Because in the scraplands, wheels are going to get popped, and even if they're really rugged, they're going to get stuck on things. But a track will just kind of grind through and dig through and get where it needs to go. So I don't really have a good plan yet, but that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some tracked motorcycles. I'm going to make one with you guys, and I'll probably come back and make some others later. So let me get some cardstock first, or some, let me get some of this thick cardboard here. There's thin cardboard here, I mean, from this. I'm just going to cut a piece so it's easier to work with. Okay. So I'm going to glue this to this poker chip first and then cut out around it. And that's going to be a kind of a taller base, but that's okay because I'm just trying to make things work the way I want. Okay, so I'm going to get that on there just like that. I'm going to push it down to make sure it's good and stuck. And then the easiest way to cut this would probably be with a knife or scissors. I'll use scissors first and see how that works. La 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 la. What am I going to use for the track? I don't know. I just only have this sticking out beyond my chip. It can be a little bit smaller than the chip is wide though on top. I don't mind that. Okay. So that's going to be part of my scraplands and beads, I guess. These beads would be good, a good size for motorcycle wheels, probably. Let me get a few of those. So we want the motorcycle to be a little bit over 1 inch long, maybe. So let's kind of see how long 5 of these are. 4 might be long enough, actually. 4 of those will be good. Okay. Yeah, that was a good investment of $3 for sure. So let's get something to measure with. Since I don't know where my tape went. Oh, there it is. Well, we'll just use this anyways. So that's about 1 1/4 inches. So we're going to use those to build our track. So I'm going to get 4 of these beads and stick them together. Okay. And I want them to be in kind of a straight line. Just like that. So when it stands up, there we go, like that. All right, now we need cardstock, something thin. Paper could work if it's like a thicker paper like that, but cardstock's probably going to be your best bet. So let's get some cardstock that we can cut. Okay, so I want this to be about yay thick, so let's cut a flat edge and then work from there on my track. So I'm going to cut my flat edge here. And then I want that to be about yay wide. I'm just eyeballing it. Okay, then I need this to be flexible so it wraps around there easily. So to get that going, I'm going to get some glue here about the length of that. I'm going to shove that down on there centered just like that. Okay, so at this point we have something like this going on. And then this is going to go underneath like that. Snip off a little bit more. Okay, so now I'm going to get that. I'm going to put that down on there like that. Okay, and that's going to be sturdy and hold, hopefully. There's a little bit of a gap right there, but that's going to go on the bottom against the base. So I'm just going to get a dab of glue and kind of bind that together. And then this is going to be I'm just going to make a little groove in here so it looks like two panels kind of. I'm going to do one coming out here. Then I'm going to take some of that card and I'm going to cut a couple wonky little pieces to make the base a little more interesting. One should probably do it, really. Looks like one will be enough. Well, we could do one off the side here, I suppose, if we wanted. Get that on there and snip off the excess. Like that. Then I'll get my motorcycle track. And I want to put some very thin texture on that so it has some grip. And to do that, before I glue it down, I'm going to make my life easy. I'm going to get a little bit of that. I'm going to shove it down on here like that. Snip off some. I'm just going to keep doing that in a couple spots to get a nice good grip on the terrain. You only need to do kind of like 3 towards the front and 3 towards the back. You don't have to go flip mode with it. Though there's some who would argue that flip mode is the greatest. I'm just using the tiniest dabs of glue to do that. On this part here, I'm just going to do, I think, one showing. Just make my life a little easier. Okay. So then we can get that on there. And we're going to center that the best we can. And hope we have good grip. Snip off a little bit of this excess crap because I don't like the way it looks. Something like that. All right. So then you need your part where your miniature sits, and you need like your basic construction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some barbecue skewers, since I'm going to be making several of these bikes. And I'm going to make a line of glue along here, just like that. I'm going to get my stick and just kind of run it around a little bit on there. And I want it to stick out past the edges of the tracks a little bit. Let me get some snippers. We're going to do that on both sides. I want to cut that flush so it's kind of flat there. I'm going to do the same thing on this side over here. I'm going to shove that on there like that. Getting that into place. I'm going to step that off too. Okay. So now we have the kind of like a frame to work with, like something that supports weight. So we can get any kind of piece of cardstock here. We need something to use for a gas tank. Let's get a bead. Something like that. Maybe we'll get 2 of those. We might need it for something else. So what we want to do is we want to have this situated to where, let's get a piece of this and curve this to where it sits across that, okay? So we need to snip a little bit of that off and just kind of dry fit it to go how we want it to go. Oh, we want it to be a little bit elevated off that track so the track doesn't grind against it. So to make that do that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to snip a little bit more off. I'm just dry fitting it, you'll see. Is I'm going to get a little bit of glue here, like that. And I'm going to get one side started. I'm going to rub that around and let it kind of cool in place so it's kind of sticking straight up and down for the most part there. Then I'm going to wrap that around and glue it on this side. Just like that. Okay, there we go. And that's going to keep that off of the tread a little bit. Mine's a little crooked, but these aren't going to be perfect every time, and I'm okay with that. I'm going to get a piece of glue here, a bead of glue there, and get this wooden bead. I'm going to rub it around and kind of get it in place like that. Okay? And that's going to be like the gas tank or the whatever kind of, you know. Then we want a miniature to be able to sit on here. So what I think would be the easiest is something that's about the size of a 1-inch base. So I have these tiny poker chips. That would be really good to give it a flat kind of thing to sit on. So let's get another piece of this. We'll make it a little thinner. We'll curl that. Just like that. We'll get a dab of glue here. We'll get that in place. I might need to cut that a little bit. That's okay if I do. And we're going to bring that over and we're going to snip some of that off so it fits flush. Is that good? There we go, just like that. Okay. I'm going to hold that down just like that. And then we're going to get our thing where the miniature is going to sit. We're going to set that on here. Okay, just like that. So I'm going to get a little bit here and a little bit there. We'll get a little bit in that groove. I'm going to kind of rub that around and grind it into place, getting as much surface contact as possible for my track bike. I'm just going to get away from some of these spider webs because I don't like where they're at. Okay, so that should be able to hold a Mini pretty comfortably, I'm guessing. Oops. Yep, oh, he's covered in spider webs. Of course he is. Poor guy. Lives in the shop. Okay. So that can hold a miniature pretty easily. Maybe sliding that back a little more or using something a little bigger would be better. I don't want to back on these. I just want them to be easy to be in combat. So now we need handlebars. So that's going to be pretty easy. So what I'm thinking for handlebars is we have a bead there already. Let's get a bead through our tank like that. Or a thing through our tank like that. My tank is crooked. I'm going to pull it off there and fix it. Okay. Okay. I'm going to drag that down and just catch it on there a little bit. And I think this will hold nice once I get some super glue on it. So what I want to do is I want to get this through here like this. Okay. So we want to put a little bit of glue in the hole. Just like that. Shove this through here, just like that. And twist it so where we get a good bond somewhere, hopefully. Didn't use enough glue, apparently. There we go. All right, then I want to twist these up, just like this. Sorry, it lost its spot. Need more glue, no problem. Okay, get our glue. Get it in place. Twist these up. Break these so where they snap up. Just like that. On both sides of your bead. I broke that off. Of course I did. Okay. That didn't work. Let's try something else. Wire would probably be better. Alright, so we're going to get our bead in there. Center it. Snap these up. Just like this. Oops. Okay. Alright, then we're going to hold these in place with a little bit of glue, like that. Didn't work perfect. I didn't really have an idea going into this, so any failures here are just discoveries, really, you know what I mean? Because I didn't walk in with a plan in my head. You know, I was just showing up to make some shit that I need for my game, because they discovered some, and then they discovered motorcycles, and the one dude's like, we can't ride these, which was my whole thought. And he's like, we can't ride these. And then he was like, but we can modify these. And I was just like, he's right. Because they've already witnessed how track vehicles do okay on the scraplands. The hover technology is the boss. Hover technology is expensive and takes a lot of fuel. And they are not rich like that, living in the scraplands. All right, so this is going to be pretty good, I'm thinking. Let me hit this with some hot air. Or some fire. Just kind of clean it up a little bit. Okay. And then I want to bend these down to be handlebars. So let me find a good height. Okay. Something like that. We'll snip off the excess. Again, this is all just free-handed and eyeballed, so it's not perfect. I'm going to get some glue, kind of give that some substance, just like that, and just rubbing that on there. It doesn't have to be perfect by any means. I'm going to come around, rub that around some, do a little bit on this side. Just the tiniest bit of glue is all you need here. Okay, that's going to sturdy things up. Now I'm going to use my cooker. Get any of that glue that didn't do what I wanted to. Then we're going to try to put this back on here, just like this. Okay. Something like that. Oh, it stuck to me. Okay. Now, something like that. Okay. We're going to want to sturdy this up. But first, let me clean this up a little bit. Get that glue hot. So there's no seams or weird shit. Let's get some super glue. And permanify some of this. So to permanify it, just get some glue on here. Like that. Make sure everything's got a good, safe amount so where it's not going to fall apart on you. That's all I'm doing. And we could put a little gription on here too if we wanted with some super glue. I'm going to get a little bit down on the base here because I'm worried about that coming loose. Okay. Just where you need it. Not everywhere really would matter. Now, I want this to be kind of sturdier, and the best way to make it sturdy is with a little bit of baking soda, but we don't want to have a bunch of baking soda all over this, but we do want enough to look like rust and damage and grime. So what we're going to do is we're going to carefully, with our fingers, just sprinkle some into some of the gaps where we want to make sure things stay permanently, a little bit onto that base so we can add some texture there that stays. Down in the front here, and then from a distance up top, we're just going to sprinkle some around. Okay. Cool. there's our little track bike so far. We need to get this on something that we can paint it on. Too easy. We're just going to get a paint lid. Make ourselves a handle. Okay. Something like that. We'll hit it one more time with the blowtorch. Make sure that we don't have any weird strings or spider webs. Sounds good. Looks good. All right, that's our bike. Let's hit it with a hot air gun. Knock off any excess crap. Okay. And we'll hit it with a black bond. Let me grab my black paint in the other room real quick. I keep my paint in the other room because it's so cold in here, it wouldn't work right. Okay. All right. Not the best base coat, but it's a base coat. Be right back. Put my paint away. All right. Bring this down a little bit. Okay, now we need a piece of cardboard and a crappy paintbrush. Guess what? I know where I keep them. I get a drink of my beverage here. Let me get a little bit of this brown. I'm gonna get a little bit of my nasty paint water. I'm gonna just kind of hit everything with this first. Just terribly and badly. Like that to get me started. Okay. Need a little bit more. Get up underneath there a little bit. Okay. Mostly good here, I think. This is a little floppy on here. I probably would have should have done better with the paint, the gluing. That's okay. So I'm going to get a small brush. This motorcycle is going to be red because that's my color. That's my jam. I'm using this flamenco red here. I had a better red I liked, but I can't find it. I lost it. Oh, wait, is that it? Oh, here it is. Cardinal red. This is the one I want. I'm going to get a tiny brush, something that you would use on miniatures or something, or, you know, not a chunky big old terrain brush anyways. And I'm going to paint my main body of my bike, just like this. It's got a very fallout aesthetic to it. You might need 2 coats of this if you really wanted to make it look nice, but I don't want mine to look super nice because that'd defeat the purpose of it. Okay. I'll paint up underneath here on the edges red, but the top I'm going to do in like a black or a gray probably. I'm just trying to cover up the really bad spray painting that I don't think anybody's going to see. Okay. Okay. Something like that. Should do what you want it to. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to get some, if you have metallic brown, that's great. I don't think I have any left, so I'm going to use a little bit of copper and a little bit of brown to do this next step. So I'm going to get a little bit of brown and a little bit of copper. That's black. This is probably too wet for what I want to do. Let's try to mix it up and see if I can make it work. More brown. And then I just want to do all my metal work on here. I just want to be careful. Make it look nice. I'm going to get rid of my water there, get a little bit of that brown, a little bit of that mixed. Okay, and then I'm just going to do some detail work on my base to just, not detail, but some variation on my base to make it look a little more interesting. Okay, then I'm going to get dark gray, like primer gray, not primer gray, pavement gray. And I'm going to paint my track. And be very careful not to get it on any of the other stuff I've already painted. Just like this. And I'm not going to worry about trying to do those wheels on the inside. They're just going to be nasty and dirty and whatever, you know, effect they have from the underpaint. I'm going to use the same black, do a nice coat on my seat here. Not black, gray. Okay. Just like that. Cool. Something like that. Now I'm going to get my brown, and I have my gray and my brown here. I'm going to touch around on my track a little bit. I'm going to touch around on my base a little bit with that too. Just give some more variation. Make it look a little cool. Alright, now let's get black. I'm going to hit this with the air gun before I use black. I'm going to get my cardboard and a little bit of black. I'm going to use that same small brush to do this. This is just Dollar Tree black. It's like the crappiest, the like chunks of, can't think of the word. The shit that's in paint is really chunky. I think it starts with a P. I can't think of the word. Oh my god, pigments are kind of chunky in this. And often you do have to thin this down to use it for anything besides really basic garbage. So I'm just going to make some handles, plastic handlebar covers, so you don't shape your little hands on a long ride across the scraplands. This world is called Nye, or this game is called Nye. So tomorrow comes Doom, my RPG that I made, that I'm still working on. Really, we've been in test play for years. I don't think I'll ever actually finish it. Has different systems in it. So it has like this system, which is the newest one. It's like a post-apocalyptic dystopian future slash, Blade Runner meets Cyberpunk meets Fallout. Then there's an Old West one. It's called the Frontier. There's just different ones, okay? I'm just coming down here and doing a little trim work on that, just to make it look kind of neat. I'm going to come up here, do something there. I'd like a headlight or something on that. That'd be great. But we're going to wait and do that last after I do everything else I need to do. All right, let's set this off to this cardboard off to the side. Let's hit this with the air gun again real quick. Okay. I'm going to get another piece of small cardboard here. I'm going to get some metallic. In theory, I'm going to get some metallic. Where did I put it? I lost the metallic. Not metallic brown, like a metallic silver. I lost it. This isn't quite the color I wanted. I can't find the other one. I might have knocked it on the floor yesterday. I got a giant mess down here. Everywhere's a giant mess. That is definitely not going to work. All right, hold on. We're just going to use this old beat up stuff here. I'm going to get a little bit of that. I'm going to beat that up a little bit. I'm going to touch around on the base. Okay. All right, so it's pretty much done at this point. I'm going to use, I don't recommend doing this. I'm out of regular clear coat, so I keep forgetting to go buy some, so I'm going to use a semi-gloss on this. But before I do that, I'm worried about this moving a little bit, so I'm going to get some super glue and try to do an on-the-spot fix. And to do my on-the-spot fix, I'm going to bend it back a little bit, get some of that glue, run it down in there on both sides, just to sturdy things up. Get it. And then I'm going to clear coat it with that underneath. I'm going to do a light misting of clear coat because it's semi-gloss. Okay. And then we need something to use as a headlight. Oh, doggone it, I found that silver. We're going to do something real quick. Where's that first one I had? We're going to get that small brush. And we're going to get some of this crappy water here, some of this brown, and we're going to thin that out. And we're just going to mix that in with that. Let's take away some of the shine from the track. We don't want that to be overly shiny. Doll it up just a little bit, you know. And the rest of it can stay kind of shiny, I guess. I want to do a little bit of this. Kind of get away from the shine on my base here. You could have just thrown masking tape over that on the base, really, and it would have done a good job, but I didn't think of it until it was too late. Okay. We need a headlight. So for the headlight, I have some little different kinds of gem beads from different things. I don't feel like digging through the drawer through all those little gem beads, so I'm going to use this. I got these at, I think, Michael's years ago. There's different colored ones. There's clear. Seems like I mostly have clear left. There's purple, blue, green, more clear. Let's see if I can find like a red or a yellow. What color is that? Clear, clear. Looks like all I really have is clear of those. Let me flip this upside down, see if one popped in another thing real quick. No. Oh, there's a yellow one in there. All right, let's dig her out. Yeah, I need to resort this shit. Okay, I found a yellow one in here. I saw it somewhere down the bottom. Clear. And you clear. Maybe I didn't see a yellow one. Maybe I am a crackhead. Let me get tweezers. What is on my neck? Somehow I managed to get hot glue on my neck. I don't know how I managed it, but I did it. This is making this take way too long. There it is, yellow. Nope, I missed it. There it is. Got it. Is that yellow? Yellow. Sick. Way too much effort there. Okay. And then you can use anything. This is some kind of Wolverine card that I have no real plan for. So we'll get a dab of glue. Get something sharp. A poker. You, damn you. Something like that. Looks more like a scooter than a hog. I have to think about this or try to see if I can find pictures of something like what I wanted to make. Because that's not exactly what I wanted this to look like, truth be told. But there it is. Took me about 35 minutes if you take out of the dumb shit. Let me look. Well, nope. Took me 40 minutes. 41 minutes. Thanks for watching, though. If you like what I'm doing here on the channel, please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell icon, and for fudge's sake, leave me a comment so I can answer you. This kind of stuff is fun for me to do, and even though it didn't look like how I kind of envisioned it in my head, it's going to work, you know. This guy's going to sit on here, or any guy I have is going to sit on here, and it's going to be movable on the table, and it's going to sell the idea that they have track bikes to ride around on. So yeah, I think there was some kind of Nazi design like this, if I'm not mistaken. No, it had like 2 tracks in the back and like a motorcycle in front. Maybe it was something, not the Kubel wagon. I can't think. I'm not like a giant Nazi expert, sorry. Anyways, thanks for watching. Play the video in reverse for more tips, and I'll see you next time.